In this series, we address frequent topics that most managers and business leaders struggle with. We offer new perspectives and tips to help you test alternative behaviors or identify more productive paths to tackle your challenges.
Welcome. This is Conversations with Grooa. Today we are talking about dealing with a dumping boss. I'm Elena Di Girolamo and Laura Lozza is here with me. Hello, Laura. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everybody.
We will start from an email we have received, a question from Julia. She writes, my boss is driving me crazy. He's hyperactive and very creative. He has lots of ideas and he shares them with me, expecting that I will follow up. I already have a full plate and I work 15 hours a day. I cannot take more. His ideas are usually good and I do not want him to think that I do not appreciate the ideas. But I wish he could stop or at least slow down. What can I do?
Yes, Julia, and anybody else who have a similar issue. Well, first of all, there is one important comment that I want to make. Do not assume that everything that comes out of the mouth of your boss needs to be executed, especially when there is someone who is very prolific in ideas, very creative. Make sure to double check whether he or she really wants these things to be followed up upon, and whether it is you who has to do so, because sometimes we just assume, and especially creative people, they might just throw one idea after another and just build ideas and maybe forget the previous ones. They might not even have the same order of priority and urgencies in their mind. So it's useful to double check. And if you come into some delicate areas where there is an idea that you really think is not necessary or important, and you don't want to just provoke it too directly, you can always use the 1, 2, 3 formula of playback, ask and repeat or recap. This is an example. Your boss says, hey, it would be a great idea to invite another stakeholder to the next brainstorming meeting, and we should actually bring him up to speed with a good presentation ahead of that. And then your normal reaction will be, he wants me to invite and he wants me to prepare the presentation and present to the stakeholders, and that is what he normally wants. So in this case, play back. So you repeat what you think that he has implied, but making sure that you don't take personal responsibility for the execution in the way you play back the phrase. For example, you would say, so you suggested that we could invite these additional stakeholders, and you think that he might expect it to be briefed in advance. So then you have formulated it in a way that he's already starting to think, am I expecting that he will be debriefed? Well, I'm not sure whether he really wants to be debriefed. He might already have a doubt on what he maybe was thinking initially. And then if he says, yes, that is what I want, then you can double check with a question. That is the number 2, ask. So do you really think it, or just do you think, not necessarily provoking, do you think that he expects a debrief, or is there a risk maybe that he might feel that we're trying to control him? So that could be a way to throw an alternative into the picture and challenge the initial assumption of the boss. So he might say, well, yeah, he might think that we are controlling him. I don't know. What do you think? Maybe we can give him the option, and then you can engage in a conversation and then recap at the end. Okay, so we will invite him. Do you do it or should I do it? Keep the options open. So we will invite him. So let's put names, do you invite him? Mm-hmm. Good perspective, good, profile, or I can invite him. And we ask whether he needs anything. Maybe we can just give him a little chat in advance. So you recap and you close it. This is a way to avoid getting into, struggles, and it allows you to learn not to jump into every single thing that is dumped on you. Does it make sense?
Yes, I understand absolutely. I think the learning point for Julia is not to assume that she needs to take action on everything the boss is creating or proposing her. On the same line, I have a different email from Tony, who has a boss who he says is a perfectionist who never is satisfied. He seems to be very anxious because he insists that we must make sure to give top management a good impression. He's never ready to decide and creates a lot of extra work, including last-minute reworks. Like yesterday, for example, just 20 minutes before presenting to our VP, he asked to change the background color of the slides, which meant refitting text and images as well. And we had already checked the slides several times with him and all involved departments. I tried to argue, but there is no room for discussion.
Yes, poor Tony. That is unfortunately a not uncommon situation, and I think it reflects some of the anxieties that go through the corporate ladder. Here is a boss that dumps request after request after request because he's never sure of how to please his own management, in this case the VP, and honestly feeding the anxiety of someone is not helping the business, is not helping the person, is not helping yourself, your mental safety. So I think that it is absolutely okay to ignore. We don't need to hear every single request. You could always just say, oh yeah, that would be nice, we'll see what we can do. And then you don't do it. And if he makes comments in front of the VP, or these are not the right colors, let him embarrass himself with this trivial request and say, yes, we considered changing the background. It would have given more, prominence to certain visuals. Sometimes, we we can't get to everything. And that's it. You might displease the boss, you might impress the VP, or you might at least have gained a little bit of respect of your collaborator and peace of mind for yourself.
Thank you, Laura. So basically, you are always suggesting to challenge the requests of the boss, either directly, like in the example of Tony, or using the 1, 2, 3 technique of playback, ask and recap, when there is more space for that, like you were suggesting in the example of Julia.
Yes, a very, very good recap. And of course, those are just some of the examples. So the important thing to remember is always that pleasing the boss might not be in the best interest of yourself or the business, which is the important reason why you are doing the job that you're doing. And situations are different, and negotiation techniques can vary, but it is a negotiation, of course. And you need to learn to be assertive and into these maybe challenging conversations. We do recommend to take a negotiation practice course. We do a lot of those with teams online and in person. Practicing different ways of tackling a negotiation can always improve your confidence when you are into these difficult situations. So I hope to hear from you, and talk to you next time.
If you have a question or a topic of interest, please email laura@grooa.com. Thanks for listening.